Is that it?
That's
Yeah,
it.
that's it. Fucking technology, eh?
I know.
What's the crack in Madrid?
I might possibly have the Rona.
Right now?
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh, what?
I've I've kind of a chesty cough and stuff. Um, not
Since
I'm not dying. I'm not
since
dying or anything.
well,
Huh?
most people don't, Charlie.
I
Uh,
know, but yeah, I have a kind of chesty cough and a runny nose. So I contacted my school, and they told me I need to go for a test before I'm allowed back in the school.
right. When
Um,
when
but,
did you
but
start?
I can't go and have a test if I have symptoms.
What?
Yeah, I don't understand that either. So I'm going to prove that I'm just okay or something. Or
So the test will be a test to see that you've had it. It'll be like a
I don't it the official name of the test, okay, it's a test for people that work in schools and with young people. So it's like a government thing for that specific group. Because I'm broke and I can't pay for the what do you call it? The private ones. I mean, the private ones, it's only €50, but I don't know. I'm not paying that.
yeah, fuck that. Paying €50 to become a statistic. One of those the big number in the TV that they keep showing. Uh,
So I have to wait until next Tuesday, Tuesday morning before I can go. So hopefully I don't think I would have any symptoms by then anyway, because I'm feeling much better than I was
when did the symptoms start for you?
like yesterday, but the day before that I had a bit of a sore throat, and then it kind of gradually went down to my chest.
Right.
Um, and yesterday when I woke up, I was a bit like like mucusy
Mhm.
in my chest. So then I was like, then this morning I was like, this is maybe it's a symptom or something like that. So
Well, whenever I got it, it was fevery to begin with. It was like it was a mild fever and achiness, like aches in my muscles and all. And
mm,
just the notion, I was like, because I knew at that point that I was a close contact with someone, and I thought, fuck, like anytime now that you get anything, you sort of think, oh, is this coronavirus? So I was thinking maybe it's just my imagination that I'm sort of, I think I'm feeling this, and it's not. And then I was on the boat at the time, like, and it was a couple of
mm,
days, 2, 3 days, and then whenever we got back home, the I felt grand. It was like nothing at all. I didn't have a cough or sore throat or anything. And then it was like the day after that my sense of taste and smell had just gone. And that's whenever I figured, all right, COVID. And
yeah, I don't have that at all. I can still
but
taste
the thing is,
taste.
if it was only a couple of days ago that you started feeling it, like it might be a couple of days before that symptom kicks in, possibly that you'll lose your sense of taste and smell if it is COVID.
Yeah, I mean the likelihood of it being the flu as well. Like I mean it's very fluey. It's not as well. So I don't fucking know. So um, but I don't know.
Are you getting the
Because
D?
huh?
Are you getting the D, Andy?
No, I was thinking that. I was thinking that the other day as well. No, I'm not at all.
No.
Not even getting a supplement. And I don't get much sun. So because it's winter. So
Yeah. No, fuck. Hey, that's. Did you see? I shared it on my Facebook thingy. Some researchers or doctors, whatever, in Trinity College in Dublin, back in November, they had got together and tried to convince the government to issue it as a recommendation, sort of alongside everything else, the hand washing and social distancing and all that crack, to advise people to take vitamin D because so many people are deficient in it, and it's been known for quite a long time that it's necessary for the proper function of the immune system. And it was there were studies before on the SARS-CoV-1, like the first SARS, that it reduced severity of cases and all. And there's ongoing studies at the moment for people that have gone into hospital, and apparently like 90% of older COVID patients were vitamin D, had insufficient levels of vitamin D. So
Well, that's what they say. The people that have melanin, black people and Asian people, because their skin are pale, beautiful white skin. Well, I said beautiful there. Sounds a bit creepy.
yeah,
Our pale skin absorbs the vitamin D or the something from the sun much easier.
yeah,
So we're less likely to be vitamin D deficient.
yeah,
So and those groups of people have been hit harder and seem
yeah.
to be
They've been
more
hit
violent.
harder in northern latitudes where
Yeah,
they're not in the sun as much. I think
yeah.
like in Africa, COVID isn't so much of a big deal. South
Uh, I,
Africa,
I I work with a lot of South Africans now, and they say it's well, they said they're opening the beaches this weekend again, but they haven't been open for like 3 or 4 months and stuff like that. So I don't know. Um, I don't know if it's great in Africa too, because I mean statistics and things like that are not that great.
yeah,
Great at being kept.
that's good. Yeah.
Some people would die and it won't be recorded as COVID or something like that. I don't know.
Well, the issue here is that people die, and even if it's not COVID, it's recorded as COVID.
That sounds very conspiratory.
But it's not though. There, have you seen that video? I can't remember. It was some TD questioning some of the people from the health executive or whatever about what would be classed as a COVID death. And do you remember I was telling you about my uncle?
Mhm.
He basically, it was liver cancer that he had, and they told him that it, there was nothing more that they could do for him, and he might not make it till Christmas. And he did. He made it past Christmas, and then it was there 3 or so weeks ago that he eventually died. But he had got COVID in hospital because he had to go back into hospital to get fluid drained or whatever, and he caught COVID in hospital. But he didn't he didn't have any COVID symptoms or anything. But
Mm.
because he got COVID in hospital, he was put down as a COVID death. Like it was on the death cert, COVID pneumonia and liver carcinoma or something like that. So he
But
will be counted as a COVID death, even though, he was effectively terminally ill and was told he wouldn't make it till Christmas. So it kind of,
I know, but wouldn't the COVID given it that extra push?
um,
So you could
possibly,
say it was a result.
maybe.
I don't know how they define the result of something. I mean, it must be the same with other infectious diseases like or viruses like the flu and stuff like that. I mean, if you got something, wouldn't be recorded in the same manner? I mean, wouldn't be recorded in the same way if you had a different virus or you know.
But the thing is, with the flu, like it wouldn't have been plastered all over the news and been used to sort of sway basically how we're all of the restrictions and stuff. It's kind of
Mm.
it's like that flu can be dangerous, and but whenever flu was about before, we never were locked in our homes uh, and had travel restrictions put in place, uh, and whereas now there is. It's because of the like. I was hearing something there recently about the loss of like years of life, and the vast majority of people that have died of COVID over the past year would have probably died of COVID, or probably died within a year. Anyways, they're old and had comorbidities, and so like say a young person dies and their life expectancy is like say a 30-year-old, something like us, and our life expectancy was say 80, then that would be 50 years of life lost. But say an 80-year-old gets it, and maybe you'd expect them to live for another year or two, then it's only another year or two of life lost. It's not to downplay it. It's like any death is, it's sad, but the thing is, one of the things about life that you can't deny is that we're all gonna die eventually. It's
That's very, very uplifting.
that's it's a fact of life. It's we're all gonna die.
Yeah, well, that's why I was talking yesterday with someone about it. It's like, yeah, you get into this stage now. Is the cure worse than the disease or the virus?
Yeah.
So I don't think if everything continues the way it's going to continue economically, and I know I don't like to sound like a dirty capitalist, but economically things are going to shit. Everything, I mean, the economy and everything, and the society, the culture, we're losing. The culture has been really damaged by everything. The way we work, and I don't know. It's really hard to envision us going back to any kind of normality to the way it was before, even after this. I think people are going to be so afraid of everything and things like that. So it's like when you do some things that are kind of normal, if you meet some, group of people. Here now, you can't even meet people. You're not allowed to go to other people's houses unless your family. And I'm like, I'm over here, and what am I supposed to do? I got no family over here. You know what I mean?
Can you
I think
not
that's a bullshit. I think that's a bullshit. I think that's pretty bullshit. What's the difference me going to my friend's house, and you going to see your family? I think
there's a lot of the rules that they're bringing in that just sound so stupid, like that just don't make any logical sense whatsoever. But it's mad that so many people are playing by the book, like with these sorts of rules and all.
I'm normally I'm not saying anti-establishment or anything like that, but I followed in line pretty quickly. I believed I follow all the rules, and stuff like that.
I did it at the start as well. Like whenever we first started hearing about it, it was like, fuck, this sounds pretty fucking serious. Like I working with my dad, like I couldn't not work along with him. I just had to. So I had the like painter's mask, and I was fucking wearing that in the Jeep and all along with him.
That's the painter's mask is the ones that by law we have to wear in school. So the school provides us one for each day, because these are the only masks that are by law you're allowed to work with children or something like that.
Right, so you have to stand in front of the class with the mask on, and
constantly throughout the day, through the whole day of the school, and the kids have to wear masks too. And they can't sit in different chairs; they have to sit in their own chairs. They can't mix, and they're all in bubbles. it's funny because we're not in bubbles, but they're in bubbles, but we move around. Then, you know, like,
Yeah.
yeah, we move around the classes, but they stay in the same room, and sit in the same chair, technically. There are exceptions that are stupid exceptions as well. And it, you know, but yeah, last Friday, I went to a protest.
Right.
And you're thinking, oh, you hypocritical bastard.
No, not at all, at all. I'm intrigued. Go on.
Okay, so the protest, well, there's a Spanish rapper here of Moroccan descent. Okay, so that's not a good thing in Spain. If you don't know the politics here in Spain, they're not great with Moroccan people here in
Right.
Spain. And he is facing 6 to 7 years in prison for rapping about the king in a derogatory and a violent way. But it's a rap song. You know, rap music is generally not about peace and love and hugs and stuff like that. So he's facing 6 to 7 years because there's a law where it's not just inciting violence against the king that they're using, it's talking bad about the king, saying anything derogatory. And it's also a law that protects the police. So if you say to the police, oh, if you say something, they could use this law and potentially just put you in prison. So for me, and I know for you, I'm a big man for freedom of speech.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't have went normally to something like this, and especially during this time. But I felt this is that's important. You know, that's I don't like that. I mean, who the fuck is the king? Who the fuck is the king that you can't criticize or say something? I mean, who the fuck is he? You know what I mean? I really want to get a t-shirt saying "Kill the King" or something, you know, or because it's the kind of thing that I want to get arrested for. Just, just I want to get, you know, if I had to get arrested for something, that fucking that stupidity of something like that, I wouldn't mind getting arrested for that. Because if someone ever said to me, "Oh, here's something on your record," I goes, "Yeah, the fucking king," or something like that. I don't know,
Yeah.
but I just think that it's a really, isn't that like shit you would hear now in like Myanmar, where where they like basically took over from the the military took over from the democratically elected government. And you know, like shit, you can't criticize the king, and I think Malaysia as well. You know that, you know, like that. That's those are types of things that you would not think would exist in a Western Western country, if you know, or
Yeah. I think the way things are going, we could see an awful lot more of it. Uh, because like China, for example, I know they don't have a king, but you're not allowed to say anything bad about the government over there. And if you do, you can end up, if you're in a position of even just a normal person, I believe.
no, no, the NBA and all those people, all those American companies, bow down when the Hong Kong protests started. Some of the players and some of the managers came out in support of the Hong Kong protests. But then China slapped back because the NBA is very popular in China. Anything is very popular in China if you introduce it because they have that much of a population, you know. So even if a tiny fraction of the population likes it, it's basically the whole of America, you know.
Yeah, there's quite a lot of them.
So yeah, like the NBA and all these American companies, they're basically saying that who cares about Hong Kong because I mean, they make a lot of money putting the NBA on Chinese televisions and things like that. Uh, like yeah, but the thing is, I was also talking about this the other day. Uh, hold on. I was also talking about this the other day. Is that there's some things that I admire about China. And one thing I admire is the 10-year plan. The 10 years plan or the progress they plan for longer than a 4-year period where things can be rewrote or changed or something. And you know, some things that in society need prolonged
Effort.
planning and continue. Like, I mean, things like global warming. Global warming can't be a thing we go back and forth on every 4 years, depending on the political party that's in place. There needs to be a
I go
continuous, a
continue.
coherent 10-year plan, ironclad, and continue it, no matter what the politics or whatever political parties in power. So yeah, I admire sometimes their tenacity.
Tenacity. Yeah. The thing is, there's a lot of people talking about that now. It's like, oh, well, China's opening back up again. Like, how sure they've been able to do that? And it's like, well, yeah, they were able to do that because they just fucking sent the military out to people's houses and fucking locked them in their homes. And you know, they don't exactly have the most exemplary human rights.
No, they have the worst, the Uyghurs. I mean, nobody talks about the Uyghurs.
What are the Uyghurs?
The Uyghurs are in the north west part of China. It's a predominantly Muslim province. The Uyghurs are the ethnic people from that region, and they've for thousands of years. I think they can go back. They can trace their roots back quite far, and so it's in the northwest. It's like above Tibet and things like that. It's a vast part of China, and they're in they're in concentration camps or re-education camps, is what they're saying. And this is not like thousands; this is millions of people. And they're completely done in this last 10 years anyway, and about the police state and in the way China, this is where that all that began with facial recognition, things like that. It all began in that part of China first because it's their most dodgy populace that, you know, they don't see themselves really as Chinese. That's why they went in for the last 10 years. They've gone to such extremes to uh, they say, you know, they go under the preface of terrorism and Islamic terrorism and stuff like that. Now, for example, men there, they're not allowed to have beards. They can't have facial hair. They can't go and practice their religion. And I don't, you know, I'm not religious, but they stop people from practice, and they use them as slave labor in all parts of China. Things that you wear, things that we wear, and things like that. Everyone always says, "Oh, it's a little like Chinese kid that does it, or child labor." The predominant slave labor group of people that they use is the Uyghur people. So what they do is they take them from their province and send them to different parts of China where they have no family connection or anything, and they completely reliant on the organization that took them there. So they're dispersing them to factories all over China, away from their, you know, families, separating families and things like that. And nobody talks about that because everybody wants those Chinese contracts. Uh, and that's, you know, it's on the scale of the Holocaust. I mean,
Yeah.
it's on the scale of the Holocaust and other genocides that happen around the world. And it's like, well, you know, I mean, I think 3 or 4 days ago, the BBC have been their license, their reporting license. I don't know how it works in China, but it's been revoked. I don't know. I don't know for the exact reason that it's been revoked, but I can't imagine they had free range of it all anyway. And now the World Health Organization now firmly says that this was not created in a lab, and it did jump from bats, from pangolin or one of those animals to humans, which I have grown more skeptical about. I have listened to epidemiologists talk about it, and all the boxes that it ticks. transmissive, how fast it transmits between people and things like that. So, and I don't know, not just that, but there's many things. It's like one of the perfect virus for transmission and things like that. So um, they say, so the World Health Organization concretely said in the last couple of days that it did come from a lab and it did come from Wuhan. But they can't explain that in a city, how in a modern city, how it jumped from animal to person. So I in the beginning, when people said, "Oh, it was created in the lab," it was all these racist bucks saying it's a Chinese virus and all that. I don't think it was intentional. I think it was human error, and I
Accident.
think these places exist all around the world to test. They create viruses not just in China, in America, in Europe, and in loads of countries. They test and try different new viruses for biological means, biological warfare, and for
Back.
preemptively, but I was listening to these epidemiologists saying these places are ticking time bombs. Humans can't be trusted, with that type of, Pandora's box. I mean, there's always going to be some stupid fucker that does something, or leaves the door open one night, or is sleepy, or bloody something. I don't trust people with that type of, So I generally think it was. I mean, and I mean, is it a coincidence that their main lab for this type of purpose
Yeah, in Wuhan.
is in Wuhan as well?
Yeah, yeah.
I not
It's
not to connect the dots in such a kind of
a crude way, but
crude way, but um, I
sometimes
think
two and two does equal four.
I think that that whole wet market explanation doesn't. Uh, I think they chose a great excuse because they knew if they did say something like a wet market, it's against their culture, and they knew they would get some kind of bigoted or racist response that would align with what people think of China. Maybe, I don't know, and have less questions about it. Oh yeah, it's because they eat bats and stuff like that. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Right enough. But I did hear what do you call it? Brett Weinstein talking about it. He's a evolutionary biologist. He was saying about that, looking at the structure of the virus, it it is quite unusual. It's like it does seem like it skipped a step or two, and it
Yeah, the evolution, like, yeah, that's what I heard of it too. I don't know if that's the same dude that I he was on. Do you know Bill Maher, the dude I watched a couple of weeks ago?
no.
He's got curly hair, no,
Uh, Black or dark brown curly hair,
and a
Jewish.
beard,
Yeah,
not a long bit.
quite a low voice. Uh,
Yes. I think it's him, but I think he was on the show with his. I'm gonna say wife, but I don't think it was his wife. Maybe it's just his
Sister or something maybe.
or something. Yeah, yeah,
She was very
yeah.
soft spoken as well, like a very yeah.
Yeah, and that's who kind of changed my mind. Maybe it's because the soft voice or something.
Convincing. I but it's China's doing very well at the minute. Like economically, I mean they're an economic powerhouse, but their GDP increased by what 3.5% over the past year, churning out masks for people.
And the vaccine too. They're selling the vaccine to all the countries that can't get the Western vaccines. They can't, Russia's selling now to Slovenia and Eastern European countries because even the European Union can't get the vaccine because there's a whole argument with the UK and AstraZeneca. And even though us Europeans pay for the AstraZeneca vaccine. I think that is the Oxford vaccine, AstraZeneca. Yeah.
Right. So that was the crack, was that it was EU money that went into the research.
We paid for that. We paid for that. We paid
Right.
for that. And that's. But oh my God, what did von der Leyen fucking do? I didn't understand that in the last week either. What was it? A week and a half ago, she tried to invoke Article 12, and it was like, are you bloody serious? You've been spending all this time during the Brexit negotiations on Ireland side and not having a physical border between Northern Ireland and the South, but you unilaterally, without even asking any of the governments or going to any debate, bloody switched it. Said, "Oh, we're going to invoke the Article 12."
Can you explain what that means? Because I've heard bits and pieces about it, but I don't know what the
Article 12 basically means that under extreme circumstances, you can put a physical border between Northern Ireland and the South. It's a clause, a just in case clause that was supposed to be never ever used. And now you have Boris Johnson threatening to use it because now he's like, oh wait, you were going to use it. No, so it's like and she did it overnight without even talking to no democratic debate, no voting to talk about it. She got her knickers in the twist, okay, over the vaccine being, this AstraZeneca vaccine, not being given to the EU, and the Northern Ireland being used as a backdoor. I don't know. I think some things are produced in Ireland also, and they travel to Northern Ireland and to the UK.
Right.
There are some labs and things here, and she wanted that to stop from going over the
Right.
So.
But the thing is, the AstraZeneca vaccine, anyways, sure, they're in Germany and was it Belgium? They've said, well, was it Germany? They said, all right, we can't give it to people over 65. It's too dodgy. And then
because they didn't test it. They didn't test it on large. They didn't test it on older people. They're in their studies of they didn't have many people over the age of 60. It's not. That's the only reason why. I don't think it's because it's killing people at a higher rate that are over 65. I think it's because their studies didn't conclusively show or use people over that age group. That's why they're skeptical of their results. I don't know if it kills. I don't think it kills people over 65 more.
I thought it. Well, I kind of assumed that would have been the reason. But yeah, there's. Let's see, we've got a new window up. The crack with the oil vaccines. What I find funny is, what was it? It was in DW about vaccine deaths. Debunk. Was it debunked? Aye, fact check. Are COVID-19 vaccines causing deaths? There's DW. Are you familiar with DW, aren't you? I'm not really. It's a German.
It's a
German
documentary. Documentary. They make documentaries, no?
I'm not sure. I
think they make DW. I think they make documentaries on YouTube. I think.
As far as I thought it was just like a German news site or whatever. But they're doing this fact checked. Are COVID-19 vaccines causing deaths? Can I share the screen here as well? Screen. Yeah, there we go. Share that. Online claims of coronavirus vaccines being lethal arrive following a string of deaths in care homes that vaccinated residents. DW looks into cases around the world and what was behind them. And what I find quite interesting, or I was going to say amusing, it's not amusing, but Aye, the Paul Ehrlich Institute, which is in charge of vaccination in Germany, has been looking into 113 reported deaths in the country. In all these cases, those who died were aged from 79 to 93 years old and died between 1 hour and 19 days after receiving the vaccine. Of 113, 20 died as a result of the COVID-19 infection. 19 of them did not have full vaccination protection. The other case is still unclear. 43 people died as a result of pre-existing conditions, according to blah, 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 blah. Yeah, based on the data that we have, we assume that the patients died of their underlying disease in a coincidental time with the vaccination. Isn't that kind of funny that if somebody dies with COVID, it's a COVID death. It's like COVID caused it. You know, it was like, oh, they had a comorbidity, but you know, it was they got COVID and it was COVID that it effectively killed them or brought on their death quicker. But whenever people get the vaccine, we assume that the patients died of their underlying disease and not because of the vaccine. It's then it goes on to say they were very seriously ill patients with many underlying diseases. It just seems there's double standards, you know. It's like it's what do you reckon on that? Like,
I don't know. I don't know. I think I'm just trusting of.
Yeah, but the thing is, and this is what's kind of scary, is that if you even ask questions now, you're labeled an anti-vaxxer. It's like if you ask questions about the safety of a vaccine, it's like, oh, you're one of them. You know, it's straight away tarred with that brush. What do you call it? You're familiar with the British Medical Journal? It's a very well respected medical journal in the world. It's one of the top respected ones. And Peter Doshi, he is the what do you call it, assistant editor or something like that, and he raised questions on the Pfizer vaccine. He's saying they're the 95% effective vaccines. We need more details and the raw data, because they removed people from the trial during it for undisclosed reasons. People can go on here and read this, but I pointed this out to Matthew. I was like, here, have you seen this? And I had sent him the link to it about the raw data not being available. You know, Matthew's a scientist. He'll be qualified with his he'll be qualified as a chemist this year. So
this year, how long's that been?
Hey, he's 1 year getting into college, the sort of entry program, and then 4 years in the course. So this is the fourth year. I think he's sort of focusing more on the what do you call it, the chemistry side of things. So I thought, you know, Matthew's got a scientific mind, and I'll give him this to read, and it's on a reputable, it's the opinion, but it's the it's this guy Peter Doshi. And then straight away what Matthew did was he typed in Peter Doshi's name into the search, and let's see, this is on DuckDuckGo that I'm on. One of the first things comes up in the search, especially if you're on Google. I think on Google this comes up first, this respectful insolence, whenever you see Peter Doshi's name. And it's basically, right, Peter Doshi is at least borderline anti-vaccine and has been casting doubt on vaccine efficacy since 2009. Earlier this month, he posted a badly flawed analysis casting doubt on the efficacy of the Moderna and Pfizer COVID-19 vaccines. So
this is a hit piece.
Yeah, it's a fucking smear campaign.
It's super obvious straight away from the title. Because
look,
it's like what the fuck are you attacking this dude for?
yeah,
You know,
this is
like
it. And look, down here, it's through it all. He's played the victim card that people who are borderline anti-vaccine or anti-vaccine love to play, claiming that they are just asking questions, and that anyone who
oh
questions,
that's super scientific. You're not supposed to ask questions in the scientific
yeah,
community.
yeah,
You know, that's
yeah.
this
It's like
just keeps them.
that's exactly what science is asking questions. Like, so it's mad to see this as well. And it does seem to be, if anybody mentions anything questioning the vaccine, it's like you're an anti-vaxxer. And it's like, well, I've been vaccinated as a child against measles, mumps, rubella, and all that. And I got
We
the,
all have
and
been.
we're,
We
we've been fine.
that's the thing on our arm though, the round thing on our arm.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's like
That's where the
it's a,
microchip is.
no, but that's the weird one. Look, it was a weird injection because you had like it's a round, like it's not like a normal syringe.
Yeah.
What was that
I
vaccine
think
for?
it was several needles at once. It was like it was
Yeah,
being inoculated for a few things, so it was like all at once. But
really?
there's
That is? But it's kind of horrifying, no?
nah, it doesn't bother me. It hasn't negatively affected me as far as I'm aware. Uh,
God, you yeah.
but yeah, I find that really interesting. That that's one of the first things that comes up, especially on Google, is that why is Peter Doshi still an editor at the BMJ? So,
BMJ sounds pretty dirty as an abbreviation. I don't know.
what would the M stand for?
Big motherfucking
Job.
job.
Jobby. And then there was have you heard of Hank Aaron?
Maybe it sounds like a person's name.
It is Hank Aaron was I think he was a baseball player. I think it was baseball, African American guy, and he made a whole big deal about getting the vaccine there a few weeks back. It was actually probably a month or more back, because black people are quite skeptical about vaccines because of something that happened back in the 30s. I'm not sure what exactly it was. Where
You're not talking about the crack epidemic.
it's different, totally different. But no, there was a I can't remember what exactly it was, but he had made a whole big sort of show. He's an old man, like he was 86 or something like that, and he made a big thing about getting the vaccine to show other black people that this is something that we need to do, and he was very grateful to be getting the vaccine. 2 weeks later, he died. And if you look up his name now, Google it, and try and see what comes up.
But when the distrust in the African American community in America, I thought it's not just with something like that. What I heard is that there's the distrust in authority altogether. I mean,
Yeah.
I know you can't. Some people don't normally link, the police with like the health services and things like that. But it's all part of the same package. So if some part of the government, if it's a police officer, that does something, without question to you, it's very hard to trust another authority figure, even if it's in a different profession, but it's still the government. I mean, so I don't know. This is all depressing shit. Let's talk about Wall Street. Let's talk about Wall Street bets.
Yeah, fair enough. Did
As
you?
Matty, I've been very interested. Did Matty buy GameStop? Yeah, because
Matty was in on GameStop early on, and then he sold it whenever he dumped it after a short while. He didn't let it ride all the way to the top. So Gillespie made a good bit of money on it.
really fuck.
Yeah, Gillespie, I think I think he was up a good few hundred, or like even or up to $1,000 or so. He had put a fair bit in early on, but he made quite a bit out of it.
Yeah, but if has that stopped now? Because like
Yeah, yeah, but it was mad what happened there as well, because the hedge funds and that with the media, the media has gone on to a whole thing about that Reddit is now turning their attention towards silver. And it was bullshit. That was just the media trying to get people to jump on that bandwagon.
yeah, the financial programs and CNBC and CNN and all these analysts, Jesus Christ, when they're speaking about it, they're so hypocritical. There's everything so hypocritical. Now regulation, regulation, regulation.
Yeah,
When and no, but it's not even that. That Robin Hood app should be strung up. Whoever is in charge of that, that is not an okay thing to stop trading on something because you don't like how it's being traded. Uh, what the fuck are we? Free market capitalism. You can't have it both ways.
no,
But it goes to show. It doesn't it show you the it's not that politicians, everyone says it's free market capitalism, but it's just a monopoly. It's a monopoly.
it's the
you
old
know
boys club.
I mean, why are they not talking about trickle down economics with these boys? Maybe they get some trickle down economic money from the people that on Reddit. Why can't we talk about trickle down economics now?
I don't
you
even know
know
what the down economics are.
Trickle down economics is like everybody's so wealthy at the top, the scraps fall down. Like this is basically
Yeah, yeah. Well, in fairness to people in Western countries now are a lot better off than we would have been, 100 or so years, if not even 100.
Yeah, but that doesn't go to show you at the other end of the spectrum. Is it spectrum, or is that just something to do with when you're on the spectrum? On the other, okay, yeah, on the other end of the scale or whatever, you have. I mean, during the beginning of the pandemic, now the gap between the richest 10 people in the world has vastly exemplified, gone fucking, so yeah, what like I don't like Elon Musk, and I don't I don't know understand why this whole Wall Street bets thing. He seems like a savior or something like that. He's a hoarder. He's a hoarder. All those billionaires are hoarders. They want to get more, 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 more. I don't see. I mean, the only person that I generally kind of like is Bill Gates. I
Yeah,
know people. I know people hate him and things like that, but I don't. I generally see empathy in him. I see. I mean, he's put a lot of his fortune into I don't know things that can help people around the world with this vaccine and things like that. I don't think he's the computer chip person that maybe a lot of people think, I mean, that sounds like bollocks to me. He's been helping countries with Ebola, other virus epidemics and stuff like that. He wants to give people toilets in third world third world countries. I don't see him as his I can't even pronounce it. Was it his philanthropy? I can't fucking pronounce it.
philanthropy.
Yeah. Okay, I don't think is the worst. I don't think is as the but because there's about 5 or 6 people below him and above him that don't give a shit, and you don't even know their names. Um, you know, so like Elon Musk, like just all he wants, he's just the character. He wants to die on Mars. That's basically it. That's his dream. He wants to go to Mars and die on Mars.
Um,
And you know, I'm not for that whole Mars thing either, if I'm
I'm
gonna be
not
very
feeling
honest.
it either, to be honest. Like
Like
I have
I
no interest.
like I don't see why we're going to try to inhabit a planet that's not habitable. Like I think it takes away from the fact, oh, like if we fuck up Earth, we always have Mars. I'm like, no, Mars is what Earth is going to become. You know, you know, if
Yeah,
we carry on our crack and all
like
that kind of stuff.
shithole.
Yeah, it's going to become like a desert shithole. Yeah,
uh,
basically the outskirts of Madrid.
yeah, I wouldn't know. But to speak in your man Musk's defense, he's got a lot of businesses and he's got a lot of ideas. Like him and Gates are trying to help solve this whole climate change thing. Um, Bill Gates is trying to do it by reducing population growth, and Elon Musk is trying to do it, by this is a crude fucking generalization, but I saw there the other day that Elon Musk has offered 100 million to the best carbon sequestration technology. Um, so he's always coming up with things to try and reduce our dependence on carbon, to reduce the fucking emissions and all that sort of stuff, to sort of lower the thing. Whereas Bill Gates is trying to lower population growth using vaccines, reproductive health, and things like that.
And improving the quality of lives in people in countries. Like, I mean, if you can stop the population growth if you just educate women in most of these third world countries. You give people university education and things like that. I mean, uh, like even in Africa, their population growth is crazy because they have a polyamorous society. So, like in Nigeria, I knew this dude in Nigeria, who was the fourth kid. He was the fourth kid of the third wife. So he was like he was like one of 30 or something like that. And I'm like, that is not okay. I know you people like to spread their genes about and that, but this dude was poor. This dude was dirt poor and had nothing in life because he come from such a, I don't know, horny bastard. Uh, and that's in many kind of third world countries. I'm not saying Nigeria is a third world country, but it's not exactly developed either. Even though Nigerians would like to tell you it's the best country in the world, they're so cocky. Nigerians, they're
Yeah,
like the most. They're the cockiest Africans. I find they think their country's the best and all this kind of shit. Uh,
yeah, I wouldn't mind checking it out.
they're basically the Americans of Africa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's a fair point. Gates. I don't know. I don't know. The jury's out for me. Uh, he's uh, Musk is the richest. Oh, no, what he calls the richest now. On
No, Musk is.
no, is it not?
Musk overtook Bezos or
Oh, he
Bezos.
did. Yeah, he did. Yeah,
He did it, and that was because of Tesla and things like that. Um, Tesla now is kind of skyrocketing in value. I think even last year its value wasn't as much, and that really pushed him past Bezos. And Bezos stepped down the CEO of Amazon, but I don't think that means anything. I just think that means he's still the majority shareholder and things like that. He's not a good person. Bezos, he's a fucking Lex Luthor looking motherfucker. You know, he's.
Jeez.
I mean, and he can well afford to improve the lives of the people that work for him. But I mean, these people work in these big, huge warehouses have to piss in bottles because they don't have any time to go and piss in the toilet. You know what I mean? So, and that still happens. There was last year there was strikes here, and since the beginning of the pandemic, his business model has enriched him incredibly as well because everything is Amazon. You don't want to go to the shops and things like that. You know, his monopoly over everything, it's fucking disgusting. Like all those boys. I mean, that nothing about Facebook and Google is democratic or is a capitalist system. It's an oligarchical system, oligarchs kind of system. I mean, other companies before, especially in America, when they have been seen to, like Rupert Murdoch, for example. Rupert Murdoch in the UK has been prevented from buying up most of the media companies and things because the people understand that he cannot have a total monopoly.
Yeah. There are.
So why is that a monopoly? And these Google, I can understand. I do like the European Union with their stance against Google and things because they seem to be the only entity in the world that have challenged anything to do with Google. Their business it's supposed to be it's self-promoting. If you try to start a company that is in competition with Google, you're going to be not the top search. You're going to be at least second or third. So you're not going to have the Google businesses and Google investments are always going to be predominantly shown on that kind of platform. So yeah,
There's a need
we
for
need
anti-monopoly.
a breakup. There needs to be a breakup. Mark Zuckerberg. I don't, and it's the same thing with Donald Trump and shit like that. I don't like Donald Trump, and I don't like what he said. But I don't like the fact that this Twitter dude or Mark Zuckerberg have the power to switch someone off, no matter who they are, and that's pretty damn scary. I
Yeah.
mean, who the fuck is Mark Zuckerberg? He's not elected by anybody. I understand, yes, these are private companies. They were created and things like that, but it's it's no longer that, it's something that is part of society. It's gone way more than that.
Yeah.
So like there should be, I don't know, a breakup. They shouldn't have their fingers in so many pies because it's just they're going to get bigger and bigger and bigger and more powerful. It's not stopping.
No.
They're basically going to control fucking everything. They don't. I mean, Amazon's going to be the number one retailer. If it's not the number one retailer, you're not going to have local shops.
And that's not all
like
they do either. The Amazon Web Services, like they're, if you want hosting, a lot of the internet, I don't know what percentage, whatever, but a lot of websites are hosted on Amazon Web Servers.
What do you so that was the do you know the app? Huh?
Parler.
What?
Parler.
Yeah, so that's why they were kicked off. Yeah. And they sought refuge with a Russian, and that's good. No, I know you don't have many options, but
this is what I think's great. The way there's the stuff with the World Economic Forum and all have you seen that about the Great Reset and all that? Have you heard?
1 minute. I hear Riley in the sofa.
How have we been on here for? Can you tell?
He doesn't like me talking to people sometimes, even if it's just on the fucking phone.
Yeah.
Yeah, he gets all fucking jealous. Sorry, what are you saying?
I was saying, have you heard about the crack with the World Economic Forum and the Great Reset?
The Great Reset? No. But yeah, it sounds familiar.
Basically, there's a lot of the World Economic Forum has this thing with it, the Build Back Better thing, like Biden's slogan and all. Klaus Schwab, who's the sort of lead guy of the World Economic Forum, he's written some books, and they had this video they've had a few videos that they've released, and one of the things it starts off with the vision of 2030, what things will be like, and it's like you will own nothing and you will be happy is the first one. uh, and then they go on like for the few predictions of things that they see happening and which they are actively moving towards happening. And then there's a whole load of people that you would put into the conspiracy camp that are saying this whole COVID thing is playing into this whole notion of the World Economic Forum's Great Reset, where they're saying, you know, life isn't going back to the way it was. This is an opportunity for a reset, and we're going to do things in a different way. Kids are going to be schooled at home.
Didn't David Attenborough talk about something like that too?
Yeah, I
Or was
think
that
he may have been. Prince Charles, I think, narrated one of these videos as well. It's pretty.
so? Environmentalists are going to be used as pawns, like
Yeah.
because I mean Greta Thunberg, and I don't like to criticize a 16-year-old girl, and I fucking hate people that criticize a wee girl. She's only a wee girl. Like, I mean, get a fucking life. But she has said something on the lines of that because of the COVID things, you know, why don't go back to what the way we were before. But I disagree. I am an environmentalist, but not especially in terms in Ireland. The government expectations for you know for Ireland by is it 2030 to have all electric cars? Was that 2050?
I don't know. I'd say it could be 2050 or so. I
But,
don't know.
but even if it's within that time frame, they're not. I mean, there's no infrastructure in place. You know, that's fine to have these
Why?
planned
Yeah.
in Dublin or something like that. But if you look at the infrastructure around Donegal or go leading to Donegal, if you don't have a car to drive, there is no way to get home. When I come home to Ireland, there's literally one bus, and I've slept many nights in Dublin Airport because I can't get a bus that goes to my house, you know, goes to where I'm from.
Yeah.
So for them to say, "Oh, we're gonna, you know, we're gonna take away cars and things like that, but not give you any solutions," I think is fucking horrible.
Yeah. I had myself and Katerina were in walking through Dublin city centre. This was what, a year or two ago. Oh, would have been more. Yeah, probably about 2 years ago. Uh, Whenever there was the Extinction Rebellion protesters uh, marching, we were at Stephen's Green, and we were talking. We stopped and we were just watching them, just standing there. And then there was a man and a woman had come over towards us to talk to us. You know, saying or like, you know, because they could see that we were sort of curious as to what was going on, and they were saying, "Well, we noticed she's looking at, we just you know, wanted to tell you what this was all about," sort of thing. That they're trying to get the policymakers to adopt more environmentally friendly policies and stuff like that to protect the environment. And I was like, yeah, yeah, fair enough. But I was like, well, my concern is that unless you're specific in what you want people to do, policymakers or business or whatever in particular, then uh, they're just going to do things. And one of the solutions that's been coming up with so far is just carbon tax. We'll put a carbon tax on carbon. You know, if somebody's, you know, paying for, if somebody's getting fuel, fossil fuels, they'll have to pay a tax on top of that, so it's less appealing. And I was like, I said to him, I live in Donegal. Public transport is practically not.
Non-existent. I
So
mean, it doesn't even have public subsidies. I mean, like, I mean, that's always been a struggling service, even when we were going to college or university or whatever. It's always been a struggling service. There, I mean, everyone always shows in Ireland that picture of the rail infrastructure, that 100 years ago or 150 years ago was better than it is today. That's because we are totally reliant on cars and things like that. I mean, build. I don't like uh, these. I don't like these types of talking points because there's no solutions added to them. The solutions have to come before, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
like
But that's the only solution at the moment is carbon tax. That's what if
which
we raise enough
affects
if we
the
raise enough
individual.
money with carbon tax, then we can use that money to research renewable energies. But it's like, well, hang on, we're fucking poor enough as it is up here. We can't afford to be paying even more for fuel,
Yeah,
because the vast majority of homes are oil heated, and you gotta.
it's the same thing. It's the same when people criticize turf or something like that. Like, I understand that turf is environmentally damaging, but give them a solution. Don't criticize them for doing something that the government can't tax, and that's the main reason why they don't bloody like it. I mean, it's not about the environmental damage. I think most politicians criticize that because they can't control it in a way that they can have a carbon tax on that or something.
Mm.
So if like if you want us to go all green, that all those windmills that are going around in a shown, where's the energy going? Does it go into the grid of in a shown?
I think it just goes into the grid and is.
I know, but why is if you live so like I mean, this isn't it? Wouldn't it be fair to say if you live in the area of uh, one of these windmills, your energy cost should go dramatically down, or should reflect. It should reflect, the like a circle. I mean, do a circle and a map around one. Why is
Mm.
it? Why are people still paying the same energy prices if we're put in these places? What we're supposed to have all these windmills to
Give
to
other
power
people electricity.
to power other people.
Yeah.
That's why a lot of people, if you can have direct causation with some of these things, people won't be as angry. You
Yeah.
know.
One thing that would be interesting, I had heard about before, was tidal energy. If you could harness the power of tides effectively, there are places like Rathlin Island, over the north coast, around Northern Ireland.
Hmm.
In between, it's the causeway, Giant's Causeway coast there, and Rathlin in between. Uh, the tide fucking rips through there. Like there's very strong tides, and it's constant. It goes in and out twice a day, and there's a slack tide in between. But the sheer force of water going through that narrow channel, if you had something like turbines underneath the water that
Yeah,
were.
but I'm kind of skeptical with turbines underwater and things like that. You're really fucking with an environment that is pretty delicate. I mean, sea life. I mean, and things could be dramatically affected with something like
Well,
that.
obviously, like they haven't done it so far, so maybe they've done smaller scale experiments and discovered that it was causing issues, and that's maybe why they're not doing it. But obviously, you wouldn't just go, right, we're going to fire up a lot of turbines from here to here and see what happens. You'd have to start small and go, does this work? Does it more hassle
I
than.
think I've seen them. They don't want to make them permanent structures, but things we can lift in and out. Um, I've seen there was studies in Scotland and things like that as well with these type of turbines. I just don't believe you could stop a heap of dolphins going into it, or like the sound of it, even the
Yeah,
sound of it,
yeah.
fucking with wildlife. That's the main reason why dolphins and that in SeaWorld go crazy and commit suicide. because they hear the filtration systems in the swimming pool. It drives them insane. It drives them insane because they have extremely high sensitive,
You hearing?
you
Yeah.
know,
Mm,
beaching things. These beaching events that we can't explain as well. In America, off the coast of America,
yeah.
and like all these and whales going up the Thames and stuff like that. I don't think that's normal, and I think it's human. I mean, I don't think it's natural either. So I think the sound waves and things in the ocean are more sensitive than we think,
Yeah.
especially.
Oh, here, yeah, for sure. I dropped a. I had a GoPro in my head and I jumped into the water one time and it wasn't on tight enough and it fell off and it was lying at the bottom of the fucking uh, in the bottom of the docks or whatever the fuck you call it on the sea floor in the harbor for a good few hours before one of the engineers in the boat had dove down and grabbed it for me. But whenever I was listening to it, then fucking hell, like you could hear work going on, like hammering and grinding and on, and just constant. And it's like fuck, fish and other sea creatures are hearing this the whole time. Like it was quite mad, all right. And you do sort of wonder what kind of effect does it have on them. Um, Dolphins enjoy boats though, propellers and stuff. Dolphins chase after boats and play on the bow waves and all, so they enjoy that.
Isn't that just companionship or
I don't
something
know,
like that?
showing off.
Yeah, showing off, saying, yeah.
Yeah, showy wee bastards. Well, um, it's kind of brightening up here now. Might go for a little dander. Um, this is grand. Hey, covered a lot of topics there. Hey,
Yeah.
uh, from COVID, vaccines, what do you call it? Stock market, big business, climate change. Uh, do you are you allowed outside your house these days?
Yeah, kind of. Why?
Just wondering what the restrictions are like there now.
Yeah, but there's a curfew at 10. Very strict curfew now at 10. And it's been like that for last month. Uh, so yeah, even I'm apparently not allowed to take the dog out for a shit or a piss after 10 o'clock.
After 10.
After
Fuck.
10, yeah. But I think because I mean, unless I get a total ball bag, I don't think I'm
There would
gonna,
be that it would
and
be
I'm not walking miles. I'm just going to take him for a piss and shit. I don't care what anyone says. I can't keep him in. It's not fair.
it's that to me just that doesn't make sense at all. Like, COVID after 10 o'clock, does it get more aggressive or something?
Well, the thing is, most of Spanish people, they don't they start their dinner or they go out with their family, and it's from 9 o'clock onwards at night. That's when they meet, and so most businesses here now don't even open at all because they're missing their main you know main time for people that actually come in their peak hours. So I mean, to open the hours beforehand. I was talking to another person the other day, and he was saying the Spanish schedule now is becoming more like the Irish schedule. People are going out even earlier and earlier just to be able to socialize because of the curfew. And like I said, yeah, you can't be in anyone else's house now. I don't know. I don't follow the changes because I don't know. I don't understand the fucking changes most of the time. I'm just told them by some people, because I'm tired of the hypocrisy with a lot of it. It's just stupid, a lot of it.
Yeah, it is.
Um,
Which begs the question: why do we abide by it? murdered people.
Yeah, I don't know, but like I'm telling you, that protest that I was at last Friday, I didn't stay there until the end, but it was a legal protest.
Illegal.
It was an illegal protest. When we were walking into the protest, they took all of our information, which I was incredibly angry about.
That's fucked up.
Isn't that fucked up? It's very draconian. I'm like, why do you need?
This
I'm walking
whole
down.
thing is very draconian. Like
I'm walking down the street, and they said, so the police said, oh yeah, you're going into an illegal protest, and you have to we have to make you aware that you could be arrested at this protest. And I'm like, why, to take my information or anything like that when I'm not doing anything illegal? You're presuming I'm going to this protest. I mean, what authority do you have to take? Yeah, but in Spain they have that law. I mean, I told you before, once you're above 16, you have to bring identification around with you, which is fucked up. I mean, do Spanish people in Ireland need to take around their identification if they're walking around the streets? No, because that shit gives a lot of power to PC Plod. If he decides, or if that gives a lot of power to the police, unless you're doing something illegal, you should not need to prove, who you are, or if you're like
you have a right.
murdering someone,
You have a right
yeah,
to
bring
your own
your
privacy.
passport around. Yeah, I mean, if you're walking around the streets, who are you to stop me? Who are you to take my information and put it on a database, and things like that? I mean, I think they were surprised to see an Irish passport as well.
Mm.
But I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. How do we end on a high note?
There isn't one.
There isn't one. There isn't one. It's bleak from here on in. Turtles.
I mean, technically as well, because I have symptoms and things like that, I can't really leave the house. I'm supposed to isolate in my room for 10 to 15 days. Okay. But how I mean, how am I supposed to eat? How am I supposed? I know, yeah, people say you can get things delivered from the supermarket. I can't afford that. How am I supposed to deal with my dog? What the fuck am I supposed to do? I mean, that's very easy to say someone in a family situation, if you have family to support you and things like that. I don't fucking have that here. So what the fuck am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
So technically, because I have symptoms, I'm supposed to stay in this room now and not leave. Not even go out the door, just to go to the toilet. That's technically what I'm supposed to do. But how the fuck am I supposed to do that? I can't survive in that situation.
No. Yeah, that's pretty bleak. All right, Dave.
Mm.
Well, I suppose you just have to go out. You have to go and get food.
I have to. Yeah, I'm not saying I'm going out partying or anything. I'm just going. But I have to go to the supermarket to get things to eat, and I have to cook it myself, and things like that. There's no way of getting around that for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I find it very strange that I can't go to the test on Tuesday if I still have symptoms. That doesn't make any fucking sense to me. It doesn't make any sense to me.
I suppose the idea is so that you don't spread it to anybody on the way there.
I know, but then what am I doing it for if the symptoms
Exactly.
are gone?
Yeah. And if you don't have symptoms, then at the time, is that like, are you non-transmissible? Like that's why you're able
If
to
I
do
get it,
it.
but if I get it, does that mean I'm not? Yeah, I'm not transmissible when after I had it as well. Does that mean that I can't transmit it, or can I still transmit it?
Well, this is
After you get it, you're what, immune to it for at least 6 months. That's what I.
you know from from a few things I was hearing that it you could be immune to it for quite a long time, like a long time. The a lot of the things, you're hearing about people getting it twice and all is that people have tested positive for it twice, with the PCR tests. And that's because the PCR test, because of the amount of times that they run the cycle, it picks up dead particles of the virus. It's not active virus. I saw a thing, there were some top doctors in Ireland that were criticizing NEFIT, the National Public Health Emergency Team, because they were slow in adopting the antigen tests, the rapid testing.
Yeah.
The rapid testing would mean, like, people could get it tested in workplaces and it's instantaneous, and it only picks up if you're sort of active, if you've got an active uh, dose of it, because the PCR tests, like, are highly, highly unreliable. Like, they shouldn't. The guy that invented them said that they shouldn't actually be used for any sort of. In fact, I got, whenever I went for my test, you've got the sheet of paper thing that comes with it that explains things, and it says this should not be used. Basically, it's completely unreliable. I know it's sort of a covering bases sort of thing, but it's like, what is the point?
The bumhole test. That's the test everyone needs to get. That's where it's last going to be. The remnants of that, of the coronavirus. That's where that's the last bastion of that in your body.
I don't know. Sounds doesn't sound.
Yeah, but but after 6 months, the antibody test is not effective as well, because after 6 months it's supposed to, any trace is supposed to leave your system.
Right.
I think we all hear different things, and that's the whole
Well,
fucking problem.
it depends on the sort of news media or social networks that you happen to be on, I suppose, and it is that's what makes it so fucking challenging too. Is like, whenever you go on to one thing, and like on YouTube, you look at one video, and then, down the side, then you've got related videos, and you end up going, down a rabbit hole very easily. And it depends on the kinds of things you're looking at. And
we all live in echo chambers.
Yeah.
That's the problem with the internet. We only listen to the people that we agree with, really. And then you can find a whole community that agrees with you.
Yeah.
And then it backs up that, and it's like that, it's not really how it should work. But
no, but it makes it really difficult to find out where everybody lies, in terms of their views on these things. Like, it's hard.
well, I always ask all my students and things like that, questions like who's going to take the vaccine, and
Yeah.
things like
What
that.
was the crack with that?
Everyone, even when I was working with adults before Christmas and things like that, nobody's taken this vaccine.
Nobody.
Everybody. The only person that I've talked to that would take the vaccine in a heartbeat is my mum. She will take the vaccine straight away. She's like me. She kind of wants the end of the situation or something. Like, she doesn't care. She says if she loses an arm, she'd take the vaccine, because she's really tired of this whole kind of
Yeah.
not being able to see her grandkids and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But everyone else is the wait and see mentality. Wait and see how other people are affected by it first. I don't like that either. I think that's kind of a dangerous kind of mentality as well. I don't know.
Well, the thing is, the vaccine hasn't actually been approved yet. It hasn't been completely tested and approved. It's had emergency authorization. So it's like the safety trials are ongoing. They're giving it out, and they're gonna doctors or people that are administering the vaccine are supposed to take note of the side effects that people report and report back and all. But it's a dangerous thing, like what I was showing you there earlier, where uh, if somebody dies if somebody dies, a few days or a week or two after getting the vaccine, it's not because of the vaccine, it's because they're older, they have comorbidities or something else. Whereas if somebody gets COVID and they die, it's because they die, they've had other things. It's COVID. It's always COVID. That's counted as
Mm.
COVID deaths. It doesn't sound very scientific, basically. You know, if we're to be scientific about these things, we need to factor in all of these things. But here, time will tell.
That's
Uh,
grand then, man. Sure. I'll chat to you again, sure. That's the end of it.
aye, okie dokie. Hear you soon, and take care. Get some D&D.
I'll try.
Good luck.
Right, lad.